this is not just staring. I am telling you that Minho likes you, she whispered, pointing at Minho, the boy who was sitting on the bench next to you. You scoffed, wearing a fitted black crop blazer over your white uniform shirt. You looked at him and pointed your finger at him, gesturing him to come nearer to you. He gulped, smiling, and got up from his bench. Every boy present in the classroom was stealing glances at you, as you were known as the most beautiful girl of the college, but they were not able to figure out that why you called Minhu. Mayanshi, what are you doing? Why are you calling him? Just wait and watch. Minhu stopped, standing right in front of you. Why did you call me princess? He asked, showing you his big teeth. You smiled back and tucking a looser strand of your hair behind your ear, you spoke out. I wanted to ask you that why you keep staring at me. Actually, I like you, that's why I do stare at you. Your hands were already balled into fists. His half words were still in a mouth when you stood up from your chair and looked at him. It was not new. The boys often do or say these kind of things to you, and you mostly do the same thing. That's why no one in your classroom dared to propose to you except Minhu, who was actually dumb. Minhu winced and standing up from the floor, he ran out the classroom, wiping his tearful eyes. Chivi stood up, patted your back. Calm down, girl. Everything is fine. You turned around and glared at each boy present in the classroom. The boys gulped and started to look at the floor. Just then, the classroom doors creaked open and Professor Kim Min-jae stepped in with Jungkook, the bad boy, your enemy, walking behind him confidently. You rolled your eyes and looking at him and sat on the chair. The professor walked towards the podium and looked around while holding a clipboard. His face was unreadable. All the students sat straightened in their seat as he was going to announce the result of monthly test. Clearing his throat, he spoke out. Students, as you all know that your monthly test results are out. Everyone held their breath, but not you. You leaned back on your chair and started rolling your pen in between your fingers, as you were sure that you will get first position as usual. Even without trying, you were that girl, brain, beauty, and savage attitude. But sitting on the last bench, leaning against the chair, with one leg stretched out and an annoying smirk on his face, was your longtime enemy, Jungkook. Professor Kim cleared his throat again. Let's begin. On a second bench, Lee Wyan. He paused. The students didn't bother as they already knew you will get first position. I repeat, the professor looked at the paper again. Lee Wyan has failed in every subject. Full stop. Gasp exploded around the room, eyes widening. Jibu looked at you in a disbelief. What? You whispered. Your smile faded. You blinked as if Professor had just spoken in an alien language. You slowly stood up from your chair with furrowed eyebrows. You must be mistaken, Professor. I did best in my exams. Professor Kim sighed, looking at you with disappointment as he lowered the clipboard. I wish I was, but it is all here. You scored the lowest in the entire class. Suddenly a laughter erupted from the back. You turned back to see Jungkook laughing. Your jaw clenched looking at him. He was making fun. Professor Kim spoke. Why, honestly, I was not expecting this from you. You always top the class. I don't understand how you failed. With jaw tightened, you walked to the professor's desk and grabbing the result sheet, you started to scan it. No, this can't be true, you muttered, scanning the paper over and over. I am actually surprised because it is Jungkook who got first position this time. The students became shocked while you froze to suddenly something instantly hit your mind. Your fingers tightened around the result sheet, your eyes scanned the marks again, all red crosses, zero fail. Flashback 3 days back. You were writing fast, confident, fully immersed in solving the last question. Out of the corner of your eye, you saw movement. A sheet flew and then landed under your desk. You looked up. It was Jungkook's answer sheet. He had that usual lazy expression. You rolled your eyes, bent down, and picked it up for him. Can't even hold the paper right. You scoffed, handing it over. Thanks. You didn't pay attention then, but now you doubted that it was he swapped your test sheet. No, this can't be happening, Professor. Why? You raised your voice more. Everyone knows it. The Jungkook always fails. Then how the hell did he top the class? Did he find any magical lamp? Guests echoed around the room. Jungkook slowly turned his head. What are you implying? The professor asked, confused but not curious. Professor, I know he must have swapped your papers during the class. The students started. Professor Kim looked around. Even he couldn't believe Jungkook's sudden miraculous jump from failing to first place. You were shooting him a glare while he was smirking, your face turned red. Without a second thought, you stormed across the classroom and walked straight to Jungkook's desk. The students were looking at you confused, and then bam. The gasp escaped the student's lips. Jungkook's body stiffened. His heart skipped a beat. Jeon Jungkook, tell them you swiped my paper. You growled, your voice trembling not from weakness but from rage. Jungkook's eyes darkened. Professor, Wine, what are you doing? No, Professor, I know he did it. You shoot back without even turning around. Everyone waited for Jungkook's reaction. Jeon Jungkook, who once made a senior cry just by staring. You have got some guts, Liwayan. The professor moved closer, worried that this would turn into a full blown. No, until he confesses. What? You want me to confess that I like you? Seriously? You really have some high hopes on yourself. You gulped a little at his words. Let it be, YN. I was just monthly test. The college is going to install new CCTV exam halls. I hope it will help us to catch the thief in future. He said and you noticed slightly letting go. Time skipped in canteen. The college canteen was bustling with energy. Students crowded at every table, trays full of steaming ramen, bubbling tteokbokki and spicy kimchi bowls. Chatter echoed through the air and laughter mixed with gossip. You were sitting with Jiwoo while angrily stubbing your chopstick into a bowl of kimchi. Your lips were pressed tight while your jaw was clenched. You seriously think he swept the papers? Jiwoo whispered carefully, glancing around. I don't think, Jiwoo, I know it. But before Jiwoo could respond, a high-pitched voice cut through the cafeteria noise like a knife. Lee Wyan. Heads turned. You looked up already annoyed as you saw Nancy, a senior glamorous and a head of Jungkook fan. Her heels clicking on the floor as she stormed towards your table. The name Jungkook had a magnetic effect. Students started turning, whispering, watching. You scoffed, leaning back on your chair. Go yell at a wall, Uni, you muttered, pulling your kimchi bowl closer like Nancy's presence might contaminate it. Nancy scoffed back, crossing her arms over her chest. You got some guts, little one. Chivu gasped and grabbed your hand under the table to prevent you from exploding, but this was something serious. Instead of listening to her, you let go of her hand slowly and stood up. Your eyes were cold now. As you looked at Nancy, Nancy looked up at you, her face twisted in anger. Everyone became shocked. You slowly looked up to see Jungkook. His expressions were unreadable while his eyes were darkened than the ocean. His friends were standing behind him. That is enough, he said coldly. Nancy's mouth fell open. Gasp again. Nancy stared at Jungkook speechless. She glared at you and then ran out the canteen. You looked at Jungkook confused by what just happened. Why did you defend me? I could take care of myself. Jungkook smirked and tilted his head towards you. I know you can, he said and walked out the canteen along with his friends. You stood there confused for a few seconds and then shrugged it off, saying, No way, Ryan, he doesn't care for you. You muttered to yourself and walked back. Time skipped. It was a free period as the teacher was on leave. Half of your class was sitting in the college garden and were preparing to play Truth or Dare game. It was rare for you to attend such casual gatherings. You need to cool off, Vayantia. Just a light game. Truth and Dare. No drama. Jivu said you were sitting cross-legged. You sighed and nodded your head in yes. The bottle spun in the center of the circle. Suddenly a voice broke through. I will join too. Heads turned. Jungkook was walking towards all of you with that infamous slow swagger. His boys were following him behind. Everyone looked at him feared while you rolled your eyes. He didn't ask. He just sat down in the circle, right across from you. Seriously, you muttered under your breath. He caught that and smirked. Missed me? The bottle started spinning again. Gradually, the bottle slowed and then eventually stopped. You sighed as it was pointing directly at you. Oh, Ryan's turn, the boy whistled. Okay, so your dare is to climb that mango tree. He pointed towards the old tree at the corner of the garden and bring us a couple of mangoes. They sat and started to laugh. You looked at the tree, realizing the risk. Jivu whispered. It is alright if you don't want to do. I will do. It is not that much difficult. You said looking up at the tree. All eyes were on you. You took slow steps towards the tree. But then. Stop. The command came cold and low. Everyone looked at Jungkook who spoke out. No, that is not an interesting dare. Rather, I will give you a dare. What? But Jungkook gave them a glare which was enough. Oh, so what is that, dear Mr. Enemy? You ask. You have to call me handsome and also praise me in 5 lines. The boy's jaw dropped to the ground. You raised your eyebrow and looked at him unimpressed. So that is what you call a dare? Yeah. You said dramatically. Fine, let's get this over with. You turned towards him slowly. So, Jungkook, you are handsome. Fine, I said it. The boys rolled their eyes. You are attractive, but I must add annoyingly attractive. You walk like you own the world, and sadly, you sometimes do. Even when you are insufferable, you still look good, which is unfair. And the worst part is, you know how good you look. And lastly, you look cold, but I know you pretend. Everyone laughed while the boys internally crushed. Jungkook's smile only grew wider. He tilted his hands in his hoodie. I'm impressed. You got some humor. After a while, the bottle kept spinning once, twice, and thrice before it slowly stopped. The tip was pointed to Jungkook. The crowd gasped. Before anyone could even open their mouths to give you a dare, you spoke out. Only I will give him a dare. The boys exchanged looks. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, amused. You sure about that? Of course I am, Mr. Enemy. So your dare is to treat me like a princess for the next 24 hours. Everyone gasped. Jungkook never listened to anyone, and you were giving him a dare to treat you like princess? Fine, I will do the dare. You blink. Seriously? A dare is a dare, princess. Your heart skipped a beat the way he called you princess. Then Prince, go get me some fresh kimchi. I'm craving for it. Jungkook sighed with fake pain. Right now, you nodded slowly. What kind of prince make his princess wait? Jiwoo giggled. Jungkook shook his head, stood up with a sigh, and walked towards the cafeteria. He came back 5 minutes later with a bowl of fresh spicy kimchi, which was carefully plated. He placed it in front of you. You smiled, looking at him, and picked up the chopsticks and took a bite, humming in satisfaction. He just stood there watching you, hands in his pockets. After having the kimchi to your fullest, you ordered him to follow you to the library. But why? He asked, walking behind you. You are here to give me princess treatment, not to question me, Jungkook. What you didn't say was that you knew that Nancy was reading in the corner on the second floor and you wanted to teach her a lesson a little bit. You stopped near the shelf beside Nancy's table. You pointed to the top row. That book, I want it. Then get it? Jungkook looked up. Can't. I'm your princess, remember? You are joking. Do I look I am joking? He sighed and ran a hand through his hair. Fine. The whole library seemed to freeze. Your eyes met for a brief second. Both of your cheeks flushed. Nancy's mouth fell open in horror. She stood fist clenched and stormed out of the library. Mission complete. You plan that, I plan everything. But as you joked, your heart was thumping louder than ever, and a storm was brewing inside him. Come, let's go out now, you said, walking forward while Jungkook chuckled to himself, walking behind you. You both were walking in the hallway when you tripped slightly on your own foot. Ouch! Jungkook turned instantly. You okay? He asked. His voice was showing concern for you. You pointed down at your sneaker. My shoelace stopped. Open, fix it. He looked at you and then at the hallway full of passing students. Some were already staring. He looked at you for a moment and without saying a word, he knelt down. Your heart skipped a beat. The hallway fell into stunned silence. Some of them whispered, but Jungkook had no concern. He tied the last knot and stood up. There you go, princess. He said, smiling. You blinked your eyes, glancing at him. In the meantime, the bell rang, indicating that college was over. You walked to the parking lot with him. Hey, you are my ride for today. Jungkook, leaning against his black sports car, glanced up. He opened the passenger door for you. Right now, you're feeling like real princess. Your carriage awaits, your highness. You muttered, your cheeks flushed. You then slipped into the seat. He shut the door and circled around to the driver's side, sliding in. The car started with a smooth purr and then they drove off. Jungkook kept sneaking glances at you as you both reached your house. He stopped the car. Open the door for your princess. Jungkook ears turned red as you slightly roll over. He stepped out and walked around to the car, so open the door like a gentleman. You stepped out. Jungkook gulped. He ran a hand through his hair. You stretched out like royalty, clearing, enjoying this moment. You let on. Water, bring water. You have legs. Not when I am being treated like princess. He rolled his eyes, smirking, walking into your kitchen. He grabbed the glass, filled it, and walked back to you. You took the glass with a careless smile. Good boy. Jungkook sat beside you with a small scoff. Your eyes widened for a moment as he looked up at you. Your cheeks were red. You both looked at each other shyly. You both smiled, looking at each other.